So some sudden but expected news for the Seven Deadly Sins, or you may know it as Taizai, came out earlier this morning. The article in question talks about how there's 1 year left of Taizai. We are in the final arc of the series. Now, let's be honest. If you have read Taizai for a while, or if you've been noticing the signs of the way this recent arc has been, it's very clear that Nakaba-sensei has been prepping up for the end of the story, or at the very least for this portion of the story, because of the whole reveal with, Mel, to the stuff going on with Meliodas, to the Demon King. I mean, there's just so many things that's happened in recent chapters, just the past few chapters, and it's very obvious that Nakaba-sensei has started to get everything in line to conclude this series. This is also not even mentioning the fact that many years ago, I even made a video on it, Nakaba-sensei stated that he had the ending already planned out. He wanted to do 3 major arcs, which was the Hindi stuff, and then we had the stuff with the Ten Commandments, and then now we have this arc with, the new Holy War that is going on. Nakaba-sensei, since the very beginning, ever since, the ending of the first major arc, he's announced this, he's had the ending plan. He knew what he wanted to do with the story. He knows how he wants to take it, how he wants to end it, and he did say always that he wanted to do 40 volumes, which, once again, this, little article that came out does clarify, once again, that Nakaba-sensei is sticking true to what he said in the past. He wants 40 volumes, and on top of that, he wants to have just 3 major story arcs. And if there ever is a sequel, it really depends on how the story goes, which, once again, that's left up in the air depending on where it's going to go, but I'll save that for later in this video. For a while, we've all known that this is pretty much the final arc, unless Nakaba-sensei changed course and wanted to do something completely else. And also, it's been, talked about as well, that he's always had, a sequel plan for maybe Arthur, diving into more of his character, and getting to see kind of how his life is, him becoming the MC of the story. And so, we've always known about these few details over the past couple of years, and, this news, honestly, like I said, it doesn't really come as a surprise. But at the same time, it is a major wake-up call. Because even though there's a lot of manga I read on a weekly basis, a lot of manga that I honestly don't even review as well, Taizai, it holds a very special place in my heart. It really does. It was one of those series that I started reviewing when I became, an anime YouTuber, manga YouTuber. It was one of the first few series. I mean, I remember collecting the volumes. I had the volumes actually right behind me. I don't know if you can tell or not, but they're, right there behind my figures. And so, I've always been a fan of Taizai since the early stages. I remember when I caught up to it, and it was around, 70 chapters. I think 71 chapters. That was my first ever review on Taizai, is when King was having a fight with Hellbrom and all that. That's the chapter I remember I caught up on, and it's a wake-up call to know that the series is coming to an end very soon, and it's just I'm gonna miss it. And even though I have been aware of the fact that the series is getting closer and closer, and, we knew that this is probably the final major arc for the Seven Deadly Sins, it's sad, because there's just so many good manga that has ended recently. I mean, let's just think about, Tokyo Ghoul. That ended very recently. It's sad that so many good series that I have reviewed over the years is just coming to a close, and it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be hard to fill in, those missing holes throughout my week that I've always looked forward to, each, individual week. Monday, I always look forward to Tokyo Ghoul and Taizai to come out, and just now knowing that in a year's time or less, I'm not going to be able to look forward to something like that. So, it kind of sucks, not going to lie. But okay, so I don't think many of you guys really care about my story or whatever when it comes to Taizai, but the article, though, Nakaba is prepping, and it's just only a matter of time. If I had to assume, most likely the series is going to be ending sometime around maybe summer of next year. If maybe August he might end it or whatever, but yeah, that's probably when the series might come to an end, give or take maybe a couple weeks or so. But yeah, so sometime around next year of summer of anime and manga 2019. That's crazy when you think about that. But okay, so anyways, let's get into the future, the ending of Taizai, what could happen next. I guess that's, something I can talk about. So, as I already briefly stated in this video, Nakaba has went out of his way to say that he wants to do something with King Arthur. And as we know, with Arthur, he's currently like a vegetable. We don't really know what role he has to play right now in the current story. And there's been so much build up to his character, to the Holy Sword Excalibur, that we're just always wondering when's he going to step into the, the main spotlight and do something. And many of us have talked about maybe he might not pop up, like maybe he might not be relevant in the Seven Deadly Sins, but when he finally gets his own story arc, for instance, like, a new series, that's when he will become relevant once again. Because it's been very apparent, and Nakaba even confirmed it, that he wanted to do something with him. And we don't know if that's still on the table or not, because he does say in the article that it really depends on the magazine's editor. The editor is what it really comes down to. If the editor approves it or not, that's if he'll decide to make an Arthur spinoff or whatever. So that's what it really comes down to. That's the deciding factor if we'll even get a continuation of, the verse of the Seven Deadly Sins, which is very sad. Let's also talk about the fact of where the story is currently going. It's heading right now, what could potentially happen since, we're obviously in the endgame. Well, there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered, and like I said, Nakaba has already said he may have plans for a sequel or something, maybe with Arthur, so obviously if he's wanting to do something like that, he might not clarify everything with Calf or Arthur or whatever, the Knights of the Round Table, Camelot. He might not clarify much at all when it comes to that type of content, because if he does have a continuation in mind, then that's not going to be answered at all. So we need to shelf finding out any more about that for the time being. Now, when it comes to the current story arc with what's going on with the Four Archangels, to Meliodas, Bon, everybody, everything, for the most part, has kind of been explained. There's only a few little details here and there that need to be clarified. I mean, Escanor is one of the biggest questions in the entirety of the story right now in terms of what role does he have to play, how did he get his grace, and, will he survive till the very end, will he die thanks to his grace? There's a lot of questions about Escanor's character, and what role he'll play for the finale. But on top of that, too, the Demon King to the Supreme Goddess, they're also in question. What roles will they play? Because, we know for a fact they're pretty much in-game boss. Like, that's how strong they are. They're so OP that, they can't even really be in that realm. That's just how strong they are. And makes you wonder, with a year being left, is there going to be enough time to kind of dive into them, showcase their strength, and let us see kind of what they're capable of? I guess when you think about it, even if they stop the Holy War and Elizabeth and Meliodas get to have their happy ending, or sad ending, depending on where, Nakaba Sensei wants to take it, I guess he doesn't need to give all the answers to the Demon King and Supreme Goddess, because, if there ever is, continuation with Arthur, then he can clarify it there. But I do hope we get some form of, rematch between the Demon King and Supreme Goddess with Meliodas and Elizabeth working together. I'd like to see something like that, especially with the hints we got with the flashback a while ago with how they stood up to them. It's something that's always been in my mind, always popped up every time, I think about Taizai. It's like, how long were they able to even last against him? To be able to stand before them, they had to be ridiculous. So, it's always been a question I had. We need to know more about Mel's situation. What is going to happen to him? Is he going to get redeemed? Is he going to, die? Is he going to be irredeemable? I'm very curious about this, because his character has become very fascinating, and obviously Nakaba has focused a lot on his character, wanting him to be set up as, maybe the final boss for the story, or at the very least for this major Holy War, and I do wonder if his character, if he's going to just be a big bad and he's going to be brought down as a villain, or is he going to be turned to the side of good? Can he even go back after everything that's happened to him? Who really knows at this point? And then we have a lot of the other things that need to be explained, like Merlin. Her whole past backstory. There's things clarified, obviously, but I would like to know more about Merlin's, upbringing, her childhood, besides the few little details we got. And then, I want to know more about Zeldris, too, his time spent with Meliodas, and, there's just so many things I want to know more about. Elizabeth is also a big, mystery, too, because we know that she's probably stronger than the Archangel. She may not be a physical combat player in the series, she might not be able to fight people with hand-to-hand like we normally see, but she is definitely not weak by any means. Like what I already said in this video, she was standing up to the Supreme Goddess and Demon King. You don't do that if you're not freaking strong. It's just in the discussion right there. So, I do hope that Elizabeth's role is clarified. Is she the daughter of the Supreme Goddess? Is she the next in line? we really don't have any idea. It hasn't been clarified at all. Honestly, when it comes to Elizabeth's past, it's just shrouded in mystery. And even though she's one of our main characters, you'd think we've already known. We actually know more about Meliodas, which technically was always shady and hiding things, but we know less about Elizabeth. But, then we have the other stuff with all the characters. I mean, we have the ending conclusion with, like, Elaine and Bond. How is that going to be handled? To, the afterlife, what is going to happen with Derriere and Mon? I mean, we know they're dead, obviously, but, I mean, are they going to have, like, a happy ending in the afterlife? Or are they never going to meet each other? I mean, there's just so many questions I have, but, I mean, I guess that's what, happens when you are told that only, 1 year is left for a series that you love and you read every single week. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know that apparently Taizai is coming to an end. How do you feel about this news? I mean, are you upset? Are you happy? Be honest in the comments below. I'm very curious to see how you feel. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. Because for some reason, even if you hit the subscribe button, you don't always get notified. So if you want to get notified for when I upload any video at any time of day, for instance, maybe sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning like I did last night, well, hit that bell icon. So I love you guys. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Chibi out.